Hey everybody, Sujan Patel here. Welcome to another episode of Shake Sales. Today I'm excited to talk to you about cold email. I've got Chris Ritson of Flexprts. This guy runs a cold email mastery program and a whole lot of stuff. And he's been doing. How many customers do you have, or how many cold emails have you generated or sent?
So, sent in my life, hundreds of thousands.
Okay,
Personally, my teams have sent millions, so I've analysed millions of them. It's been a journey. It's been a journey with that. In terms of that customer base, uh, business is a year old. I've got over 130 customers now, or had
love
over
it.
130 customers. So, yeah, cold email is definitely not dead. That's for sure, even though a lot of people are saying it. But yeah, we'll get into it more.
Love it. So talk about two different areas. First, why cold email campaigns and just cold emails fail, and then Chris is gonna dive into the tactics and really nuts and bolts, so everyone watching, listening can walk away with actionable stuff. I urge you all to kind of revisit your campaigns and what you're doing, your strategy, and see if you can apply these strategies. So, Chris, let's jump in. Why do people fail? Why does this not work, or when does it not work?
I think there's a few things. Simply put, the top of the business doesn't understand how to approach cold outreach and therefore cold email in general, right? Well, if the top of the business doesn't appreciate how you run cold outreach, then of course the reps or you as reps aren't going to be able to be able to appreciate it. Why? Because you're just not going to be able to. You're never going to be taught how to take a message to market via a written communication channel, which is cold email. Right? If you're not given the message you need to go and take to market, you're not given the stories that then embed that message. It's really hard for you as a rep to go and execute on that consistently, right?
Mhm.
You're going to end up defaulting to super generic lines or marketing based lines of where you go and you outreach to people, and it just doesn't work. You end up falling into this trap of, and it gets worse over time, of more equals more, and it stacks up. Your deliverability becomes terrible. No one responds to you. You feel worse, and so on and so forth. Just go worse. But it all starts with the fact that business doesn't understand how to go and approach cold outreach in the first place, and it doesn't teach the reps, therefore, how to do it appropriately. And as a rep, what you want to think about really, really hard is, yeah, sure. Like if I'm going to send emails, I can send as many as I want, but if I send a bad message, it doesn't matter. It ain't going to get read or opened, and it ain't going to get responded to. Because fundamentally, you need to get someone's attention with an email, aka get them to open it, and they need to hold their attention. Think about it like a newspaper. You pick up a newspaper, what articles get your attention? And then when you start reading it, if it's a load of rubbish, you don't read the whole article, so you're never going to respond, right? It's the same sort of concept. But it's got to start there. Like, how are we supporting reps at the top of the business with very simple go-to-market messages that they can go and take and try with prospects? I think the second part of it filters into that simple part that I'm just mentioning, is reps overcomplicate it. Right? You don't need to reinvent the wheel with every single email you ever write. It's not about finding the silver bullet email. It's just about doing enough to get a response, right? And a lot of the time, to be able to do enough, you need to send enough emails, right, of that quality. So how do you find this quality quantity divide, this quality quantity balance, right? Very few reps out there actually use that structures or frameworks and templates. Sounds so basic, but keep it simple for yourself. Follow the same template. For me, I've been following the same templates pretty much for the last like 4 or 5 years. Why? Because they keep winning. So I never change, so I don't change them. Right? Don't change things that win for you. But you need to know they win. You need to measure them before you go and change it up. Reps just don't do it. We don't spend 30 minutes every week rather than sending 10 more emails, just taking a step back and be like, I've sent 500 already this week. Which ones actually worked? Which ones didn't work? Why did they work? Why did they not work? keep doing what worked, stop doing what didn't work.
Love it, love
Reps
it.
don't do it.
I think it's you hit so many different things. I think the biggest pain point I see from we've got 50,000 users and millions of emails sent a month, and the most common issue today, still after being in business for 7 years, in which we have a whole team dedicated to fix this problem, which is the copy is bad, the messaging is bad, they might have a deliverability issue, or like they might need to like a bunch of other things, but if your message is bad, you could send as many emails as you want, it's never going to work, right? So I want to dig into like how do you come up with the right messaging? Like where do you start, or how do you go about kind of getting off the ground?
Yeah, this is where people get so complicated with it, right? The most simple start point is to focus the reps on or what I would call and a lot of people are speaking about this more recently. It's like pretty trendy at the moment. It's problem enablement. With email specifically, I'll run a very short exercise with reps. So I'll be like, look, whatever market you're in, who are the top 3 to 5 personas, right? Now, write down what their problems are, okay? And then whenever one of those people comes up in your sequence, you're only messaging them against those problems. That's it, right? What it means that I become more comfortable with is I'm comfortable that when the rep is actually operationally working at speed within their sequence, they're matching persona to problem as opposed to matching persona to product. That's what most reps are doing, right? Our onboarding forces them to do this because our onboarding programs are so focused on product that all the reps remember is product. So then when it comes to operationally actually writing their sequences or writing their steps in their sequences and executing from an operational perspective, all the reps can remember is the product. They can't remember the problem that the individual on the other side wants to hear about. So what do? We then just regurgitate a pitch, basically, and say, this is how amazing we are, please buy from us, or something along those lines. Rather than, hey, you're a CEO, you've got this problem, or I noticed X, therefore you probably have this problem on the back of it. Here's a couple of other CEOs that I solved that for. And also, this is some of the other results that they got. And that sounds super basic, but that's the general premise, right? Of like, lead with the problem, but the reps don't know the problem in the first place. So cut it all the way back to just what are the 3 main problems this persona has, right? And then get them to start writing and practicing writing email on the back of it, or LinkedIn message as well, right? Like, but primarily, whatever written communication that they're sending out, can they lead with the problem or focus on the problem first? The acid test is when you ask a rep, hey, what are the 3 problems this person has on a day-to-day basis, the biggest problems? I'm saying 95% of reps out there don't know that, or they can't answer that question.
Yeah, that makes sense. When we first started our outbound sales efforts, we spent about 90 days identifying the problem and interviewing our customer, like hundreds of interviews and conversations to just get to the real problems. What was really eye-opening from my perspective was we knew 10, 20 different problems people could face. And we had a hunch of what we think they face. Then there's what they face. And it was very different than what we thought. So if we were to go out with our best idea of the problem, and the reps our customers facing this issue, you see the misalignment, right? So just understanding the problem is so important. And then Chris, you brought up a good point earlier, which is like, if the business doesn't understand the problem or understand it, and you give it to 10 reps who don't understand the problem, now you've got 10 folks just spraying a bunch of people with stuff that's not super relevant.
Yeah, exactly. And here's like one of the most underestimated people in a business from a salesperson's perspective for me is the product manager or head of product, because they are the people who are able to articulate the problem probably the best that people are facing right now. Why? The bigger the org, the more the things like product interviews, things like that are going to be like specialized just within the product team, outside the founders, etc. But sales is like so disconnected from product. The question that
Mm-hmm.
I often will ask is like, why are we building X product? Cool, we're building it to solve X problem. Whereas what most salespeople will get at the front line is, we've just launched this new product feature. But actually what they need to be thinking about is, what are we solving on the back of launching this new thing? Or what are we solving on the back of launching this bloody business in the first place?
Mm-hmm.
Right? And yeah, that might become refined over a period of time as the business gets older, and you become more like focused in on what the problems are. But fundamentally, I just don't see salespeople being enabled on problems more than they're enabled on product. And that's actually what they're selling. They're selling a solution to a problem. That the vehicle is the product for sure,
Mm-hmm.
but they're kind of missing the the
Yeah.
start point.
I mean, this is spot on. I see people still stuck at this point years into their journey of anything outbound. Um,
Oh,
you,
100%,
yeah.
yeah.
What else can people do to help improve the success of their cold emails? I know there's a bunch of things you can, or a handful of areas that you can share.
Yeah, I think so. If we get if we think about like who you're cold emailing, or who people are cold emailing on a day-to-day basis, let's hypothetically say I'm an SDR and I've got 100 accounts. In my 100 accounts right now, let's say they're all ICP, that's all good. Around 10% of my ICP accounts are going, or those 100 accounts are going to be in the market at any one time, right? So
Hmm.
I need to make damn sure that of those 10, I'm sending them a really good message in the first place. There's going to be about 30% of people who are not, they're interested, but it's not right now. All right. And then the other 60% are irrelevant. What most salespeople will do when they're sending out cold outreach is, what they'll do is they'll send out so much that the message becomes so generic that they don't even cut off the top 10% of the market. They go so wide and so narrow. So here's the first thing that you should do, like get super tactical with it, is if you've got 3+ triggers or timing triggers, so like funding round, people need to roll, 3+ indicators that change is happening at that business, triple down on how much time you spend on each cold email, right? Triple down on it. Why? Because those people are most likely to be in that top 10% and active right now. And your job is therefore to send the best message that you can in order to evoke the response. You probably also want to go further and longer with these sort of people because you're prioritizing them. But remember, all accounts are not made equally. Just because they're ICP doesn't mean they're equal. More timing triggers, go harder, go for a little bit longer. By harder, I mean spend more time curating a great content for these individuals. The
Hmm.
second part is spend spend a ton of time thinking about the prospect journey that you can create for these middle 30% of individuals. Just because they're not in the market right now doesn't mean that they're never going to buy from you. Sales isn't binary forever. It's not a yes today or a no forever. There's a huge space of not right now in the middle, right?
Hmm.
That not right now, they can be your future customers, your future meetings, but most salespeople disregard them, right? And in a market like we're in today, where actually buying is a little bit fewer and far between, those people become so much more valuable in the future. But your job with cold email, right, is to use cold email not in a generic way that just says, cool, I've done a touch point, they're not in the market right now, but maybe in the future I've done a generic one. Is, again, go above and beyond with these people to really hone in on the fact that you want to create that prospect experience for them. I know that sounds like quite like semi-theoretical in some ways, but you've got to think about your prospect list as everyone is not made equally within this. And I therefore need to spend more time writing emails to the people at the top that are showing me that actually they're more likely to be in the market than necessarily other people. That filters into all your modes of channels like email, LinkedIn, whatever. But specifically with email, like, it's a great way of obviously it's a great channel, right? But people book tons of meetings on there. But you're gonna have to split your prospects up, then divide and conquer. And the other parts of this is like, this is just like tactically, you're not trying to reinvent the wheel here with email, right? Use templates use templates and try your go-to-market messaging with these problems that you rinse and repeat for longer periods of time. You don't need to delete your entire sequence or emails every single week. In fact, you shouldn't be doing that. That's bad practice. Instead, if you send 250, 500 emails, spend an hour reviewing your open rates. What got the highest open rates? What got the highest response rates? Why was that the case? Then go and do more of that. No one spends time A/B testing at the front line, but actually it was one of the best things I ever implemented with my teams. Was I actively said to them, for 45 minutes each week, you're not allowed to cold outreach. Why? Because otherwise you're just doing more is more, and you never learn what's winning. I want you to spend time looking at your numbers and teaching yourself how to become more data focused in your decision making. So think about how you can do that. Final top, my favorite tip right now that works really, really well for me actually with written email is everyone chats about writing a PS on the end and getting creative there. Actually, I found the most effective thing to do with PS is drive people back to other steps that you've already done in your PS. So for example, PS, just left you a voicemail from this number, right? And it gets them to go and, or the chances are they're more likely to go and listen to the voicemail. They listen to the voicemail, they're more likely to know me, trust me, etc. PS, just connected with you on LinkedIn. It'll be from Chris Ritson. PS, just sent you an email with this subject line. PS, all I'm doing is driving them back to other steps. Why? Because I've worked really hard writing those steps or making those calls. I'm going to try and maximize the chances that they still get them. I think there's an interesting stat here, right, folks, with sequences, like maybe like 20-30% max of your steps are actually going to be seen, right? Even if you did a 20-step sequence and sent 20 emails, like the average open rates are like 20-25%. And then of those, how many of those steps are actually remembered by your prospects? How many emails do we remember that we opened yesterday? Probably like 0, unless they were really like emotionally tying in some way. Our prospects are the same. They're reading them and forgetting them, right? So we've got to be there enough times for sure, but we've also got to make sure that when we are there, we're capturing their attention for long enough for them to remember us, and we're consistent with value and with the trust that we're evoking. That's the game. Every step counts in your sequence. Every email counts. Because who knows when they're going to open it? Who knows when they're going to be in the market? That's the game that we're playing, unfortunately. Or fortunately, depends how you look at it.
I mean, it's fortunate, right, to have a potential customer base or an audience to go
100%
sell is awesome. But I love the fact that you're talking about like using PS and just emails to re-engage, focusing on engagement versus like an action, right? Like PS, you could book account. Like here's a way to schedule with me. Fantastic. That's a big ask. Versus like I left you a message somewhere else. Just go peek at that, right? Like, and you can actually see. Hopefully that helps you build that trust and further engagement to where when you ask for a call or another thing that they're more likely to want to do it.
Yeah, exactly. I think like we're in the attention economy where we're fighting with everyone else for attention. And as a salesperson, think about it this way: if the average person's or C-suite person get 121 emails a day in their inbox, then you're not just fighting against other salespeople. You're fighting against, their family that's emailing them, their reps that are emailing them, their co-workers that are emailing them, colleagues. Right? You're fighting for some there's serious fight for attention in the inboxes. I know people call it the war of the inbox at the moment, but it really, really is. And the job for you is there's 3 challenges for salespeople with email, in my opinion, is do you have the right email in the first place? And then can you get it opened? And that's where deliverability and your subject lines come in. Mm-hmm. And then once you've got it opened, can you hold someone's attention long enough for them to read it and evoke a response? Most people, most people don't even get their emails opened in the first place. They don't get past the second challenge. But actually, it's really difficult to do the third piece as well. Some standard mistakes that I will see is, a couple of things here that I'll bring up is, one, we will personalize emails because we're told to hyper personalize, but our managers are never telling us what personalization means, right? For me, a personalized email is something where, I'll bring up an observation. But that doesn't mean that it's relevant to the individual's current situation, right? If I've seen that you're fundraising, as an example, I'm probably going to then assume on the back of that maybe you're hiring. I'm a rec tech company, so I can help you with that, right? You've got to start associating the next problem in the chain. The first problem was fundraising. You're going to run out of money, so you've raised money. The next problem is, cool, we've got to pay that money back. How are we going to pay it back? We're going to hire a shitload of salespeople to do loads of revenue, do that, but you need to hire them. Great, I can help you with that. That's what a lot of people aren't able to do. There's congrats on the funding, congrats on the new role. Tie it to the next part of the problem chain. They've solved that problem. They don't care about getting a new role anymore, right? They care about ramping up. So here's my next example is cool, congrats on the new role. You're a new AE. Amazing. I don't care if I'm a new AE now. What I care about is I've got the pressure of a 90-day ramp where I've got to prove that I can close deals and get lots of pipeline. Help them with that problem, right, by tying the congrats bit to the next problem in their chain. I think most reps don't know that because they're never enabled on the problem in the first place, right, by the company. The second part is when you're then giving a solution or you're telling the story, most reps will default and just say, we work with Apple, Google, Yahoo, some of the biggest companies in the world. And it's amazing, that's great. Again, it's completely irrelevant, right? Because they don't care about these big companies unless you've solved a very specific company, a problem for them that they also want. But insert a story here, right, where you tell them what the dream outcome is that you've helped other people achieve, or you've helped these other companies avoid a potentially negative outcome, right, where they've maybe lost something. But tell the story around the problem and link it to the problem. But because most people miss the problem, they're unable to tell a good story because you're just going to say, we work with 7,000 companies. Do you want to work with us as well? Okay, on what exactly?
Yeah, I love how you're focusing. You're focusing so much on the problem. That's the
second mistake.
Sorry,
everything for me has just got to be everything. It's all good. Everything for me has just got to be problem centric, because then I feel comfortable that I am prospect centric, right? Everyone says, make everything about your prospect, but how do you do that for reps? If the reps are obsessed with the problems their prospects are facing, they're obsessed with their prospects, and they're therefore obsessed with the potential future customer, which is what the business actually wants them to be, right? Everyone talks about being customer centricity and the customer first and all this stuff, right? How do you operationalize that at ground level? It's by moving to being enabling people on problems. The final tactical or big mistake that I see on email as well is people don't quite know the difference between in terms of CTAs and most people just are very generic with it has to be an interest-based CTA, and that means that you could there's so many different options available for reps, right? Like worth a chat, want to jump on a call, interested in learning more, shall I send you a video? Split it into two things. One is your high friction CTA where you're like asking for a lot in return, where you're basically saying, I can have 30 minutes, right? Can you read my case study, which is 4 pages, right? That's like a lot of effort on the other person's side. The other part side is this low friction CTA where it's easy for people to respond to you, right? And then they don't have to do anything. Like some really small examples, but one of my favorites for the last 6 months has been, can I send you a 1-minute video explaining more? All the effort is on me to do that. All they have to do is say yes and watch a 1-minute video, rather than if they want to, if someone says, do you want to learn more? It's like, learning, that sounds like a lot of effort. But watching something for 1 minute, that doesn't sound like a lot of effort. That's less than a commercial. Right. And you see how
That's a good point. Yeah,
it
absolutely.
really changes from the prospect being that's like high friction, high effort, low friction, low effort. But it's all about the prospect and how they're interpreting it. Yeah, you're still gauging interest, you're still doing your job as the salesperson, but you're making it easy for your prospect to be interested.
Love it. Chris, lots of knowledge bombs here. I think lots of stuff people can do. Nothing you said is easy. So I think that's a key part here. Like if reps are facing and folks are doing this and they're, man, this is hard. It's supposed to be hard. It is hard to come up with the problem. Like think about your business, my business. What problems are we facing? They're hard problems. To try to understand my problems is hard. But from there, it's really, but if you can get to that hard point, everything becomes easier, right? It's scalable, it's testing. So I love it. So Chris, where can people go to follow along your journey as well as, hire you / learn from you?
Yeah, sure. So LinkedIn is the number one place that you can follow the journey. I post every day. I have a weekly newsletter as well. It's called the Pipeline Post. There's about 2,500 subs now. I started about 6 months ago. The aim is just to help people build more pipeline, right? Get more ops. Pipeline solves all problems, right? Sales problems, anyway.
Love it.
So yeah, they're the 2 places. Yeah, if you want to work with me, just reach out or DM me on LinkedIn, and I'll come back to you as quickly as humanly possible, because you're an inbound lead, so I have to react quickly, right?
Love it.
But yeah, they're the places. But thanks for having me. It's been great. Really appreciate it.